trapping squirrels? You're fired.
Chief, the planetarium party.
Oh, right. You're unfired. I need you. Come here.
You don't have any friends. Nobody likes you. Not listening. Not listening.
I shot him 6 times. I shot him in the heart. This guy, this man, he's not human.
You think you could steal from us and just walk away?
Yeah. Welcome, one and all. We're back once again to complete another trilogy. We are completing another franchise. We're going through it. We started off with the Evil Dead. We're going through Evil Dead 2. And Zach, is this going to be a dual episode? Is this going to be Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, or are we going to split this up into 2 mini episodes? Either way, we're recording both right now. A little peek behind the curtain, but I don't know how exactly you guys are going to get it, but you guys are going to get it. So we are going to complete that in this recording.
I'm going to separate them.
You're going to separate them. Okay, so you're gonna get 2 mini episodes. So right now we're covering Evil Dead 2. So listen in, and do you guys have anything before we get started? I kind of just wanted to jump in. I had a couple of I'll say questions. They're nothing bad, but there's questions, and so I wanted to get to that. We don't have any games because these are mini episodes. So if you guys don't have anything, I mean,
favorite Diane Keaton role? Anybody?
I've only seen her in The Godfather.
I don't know. Did Diane Keaton die?
She died yesterday.
She sure did. I'm sorry that you had to find out like this.
Yeah, jeez. Cole's always breaking the worst news to me. Look at that. Father of the Bride. There we go. Father of the Bride Part 2. Wow. Great podcasting.
She's not in Evil Dead 2 or 3, though, to the best of my knowledge. I didn't see her there, but
she could have
been
been
looking for her either.
Been in 3. There was a lot going on.
A lot of skeletons.
Anyway, we can talk about that when we get there. But it doesn't sound like we have anything else, so until we have something else, let's get into the action.
Sam's here, by the way, as well.
Yeah.
Sorry.
We have a guest.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. We have a guest. You're here so often. It just feels like natural to have you. And so I'm like...
It's just great podcasting.
I didn't even think about it, I just thought it's kind of common now. And so I didn't even think
I'll feel this welcome next time I see you or I'm at your house. I'll just pop on in, open the door, sit down on the couch, see if you say hello.
It really was a make myself at home type of podcast guest appearance here. Just kind of existed quietly in the podcast equivalent of the cuck chair, like sitting quietly in the corner while we give our takes.
Sam is joining us once again. He's going to be talking about both Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness. We're excited to have you. It's very exciting. Sam actually almost made a game, and he described the game to us, and it was actually a really fun game. It sounded like, I don't know. I guess we'll never know because he didn't decide to make it.
I'm an ideas man. I'm not a guy who actually does the work
needed
for said idea.
You're not the execution guy. That's okay. We're all non-execution guys.
Do you know what you guys are since you didn't play? You're all winners.
Yeah, I didn't lose anything. But yeah, Sam, welcome. We're excited to have you. It's always a better episode when you're on. I feel like we always, Cole and I feel like we raise the bar to meet where Zach usually is.
Okay,
on the
Corey,
podcast. And
the dick riding
when you're here. Whoa. But yes, welcome, Sam. Cole, since we're starting with the action, how about you tell us what happened in Evil Dead 2?
Movie starts as Michigan State University, go Spartans, student Ash Williams and his girlfriend Linda visit an isolated cabin in the woods, where Ash plays a tape of archaeologist Raymond Noby reading from the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. Very bad idea. Accidentally unleashing an evil force. The evil force possesses and kills Linda, turning her into a deadite. Ash decapitates her with a shovel and buries her near the cabin. As the evil force attacks, Ash is thrown through the woods and temporarily possessed, but the sunlight drives the demon away. Ash's right hand becomes possessed after being bitten by Linda's severed head. Again, this guy is just going through it. This is the second time he's gone through it. He severs it with a chainsaw, but it escapes and continues to torment him. Noby's daughter, Annie, his colleague Ed, and locals Jake and Bobby Joe arrive at the cabin with missing pages of the Necronomicon, suspecting Ash of murder and locking him in the cellar. The group listens to the rest of the tape, after which Nobi's dead wife, Henrietta, emerges from the cellar, possessed, and kills Ed. Joe is killed by demon-possessed trees. Mean trees, as Zach would call them. These are mean trees.
Very mean trees.
He translates pages from the Necronomicon that describe a hero with a blade hand who can banish evil via a portal. Jake forces Annie to look for Bobby Joe, but he is accidentally stabbed and later killed by Henrietta. She becomes possessed again, but returns to normal after seeing Linda's necklace. With the help of Annie, Ash builds a chainsaw arm and sawed-off shotgun, defeating Henrietta and retrieving the missing pages. Annie recites the ritual to open a portal as she dies, and the portal sucks in the demon, Ash, and his car, transporting them to the Middle Ages, where the knights hail Ash as the prophesized hero after he defeats a Deadeye, leaving him horrified at his fate.
I did have a question.
Okay, let's
When I started watching it was the first note that I wrote down. What was the need to retcon what happened in the first one and kind of reestablish a story and not change it all that much? You know, it didn't seem like any of the changes were like changed anything to where the story ended. Like they still picked up the exact same spot where Ash was running from a demon, you know, in the house, but instead of going with a group of friends, he just went with his girlfriend. Instead of finding the thing in the basement, he found it just in the other room.
Found it here last time, or was it here?
And instead of it being like a really rundown cabin, it was a recently renovated house that he's like, I swear, Linda, it's recently renovated, when that was just not the case. I get like maybe the house thing was because that way it justifies the other characters coming in later and like, oh, this is like a real house that people live in. So I get that one. But like, I don't understand the purpose of it. And that kind of just threw me off for a good amount of the movie. Until it just told me like,
I believe
you gotta relax,
the brothers
man.
Hohenstein
And then I got over it.
Are ready and waiting to answer this question.
Well, yeah, like I think the quickest way to answer it would be budget. Both why they were able to do more with the house, why it looks a little different, why more was going on, but also why they didn't bring back like cast members. You know, they cut corners at certain spots.
Yeah,
Also, I think
read
calling it Evil Dead 2 it creates the confusion because it is kind of like a requel, if you want to go with terms like that. It's a remake, it's a sequel. It's best not to think about it.
Yeah, I think my answer to it would be that what we have to keep in mind is right now Evil Dead is a famous series and we can watch them, we can rent them, whatever. Back then, it's not like the first Evil Dead was a cult movie. Like, it's not like everyone knows the Evil Dead, everyone saw the Evil Dead. And picking up exactly where that leaves off would be very jarring to anyone who is just unaware of what is actually like going on. Like picking up with Evil just going through the house at this character, Ash, who was in the first movie. But if you haven't seen the first movie, that's like just a really crazy way to pick up right where that left off. So I think they initially did want to bring back, like Sam said, the cast members from the original movie to do a quick recap kind of film thing and reshoot parts of it like that. So it wouldn't also be jarring with the way that Ash looked then to how he looks like in Evil Dead 2, because it's Bruce Campbell's way beefed up from how he is in the first one. So like just using that footage and then cutting to Evil Dead 2 would look very jarring if it picks up right where it left off. So what it does is it allows this movie to stand on its own because it has its own sort of abbreviated version of the original movie. But you can look at it as a sequel starting 15 minutes in, pretty much, once the screaming goes into his screaming mouth and throws him through the air.
Yeah.
This is also like not the first time that he went about it and did it this way. It's just the first time you have a movie with the same name. They kind of already did this story with the original like short film that he did.
Within the Woods,
yeah.
Within the
so
Woods.
Like again, similar characters, similar theme, just different.
Okay, you know what? I'll take it that, or I like the explanation, so I think I settle with it, and it's like fine. But like, Not like I approve of it or anything, but like it makes sense enough where I'm like, oh, okay. I'm not saying like anyway.
I approve. I don't approve of this behavior.
That's not what I'm trying to say.
That's
not. I was trying to avoid that. I wasn't trying to say that. I was trying to say more of like, okay, that's understandable, and I get that. But it also, it's like, I don't know. You could have like brought in different characters to play, or different actors to play the original characters, and still kept it where you have the exact same story. Because I don't know, it just felt odd. And I understand like maybe that's more of how they did it, or how like product of its time kind of a thing. I don't know. But I think it's a fine
meant to be like the exact actors was the reason. I think it was just having people and expanding the story. Like that was part of just trimming it down. Trimming the fat, if you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I think they originally were going to have other friends there, and like they couldn't bring back cast from the original, ironically, for how low budget of a movie that was, and then how much higher this budget is in that one, yet they could not bring back the people that were so cheap from the first movie. That is kind of funny. But I was maybe going to talk about this when we talk about Army of Darkness, because like it's kind of as Evil Dead as a series in general thing. But I feel like since we're kind of on that topic now, it makes sense for me to bring it up here. Love the lack of exact continuity in these movies, and it kind of carries over in. I do, because it's deliberate. It's not like accidentally didn't care, like think about this context or something like this, because it carries over in Army of Darkness too. Army of Darkness,
that one's more egregious.
I mean, the way this ends with them worshiping him right away is not exactly how it plays out in Army of Darkness. The first words in Army of Darkness is, "My name is Ash and I'm a slave." So like it takes some time to kind of pick up to the point where they're worshiping him again. And then, no spoiler, Corey, because this is not really a spoiler. It's just if you ever do watch it. But like the fourth one, which is kind of like branded as a remake, and maybe it is, but it's the director's like, I know it kind of takes place in the same universe still, just at the same cabin years later.
Same characters or
no? Ash is not in 4 or 5.
Is it still like the same guy on the recording supposedly? Or is there a recording?
Not exactly. There is a recording, yeah. So it plays out in a very similar way. I don't remember if his name is the exact same.
Okay.
I think it is, maybe. But Ash's car is there, like just completely overgrown and shit, which would only make sense going off of the ending of the first one. If you just like assume that he died at the end of the first Evil Dead, then his car would still be exactly where it is at the end of the first Evil Dead. And that's where it is in the fourth one. So
except for what they wanted in the fourth one at the end of the movie.
Which would also make it, there was a deleted scene with Ash at the end of the fourth one, or deleted ending. I don't even know if they filmed it. Now we're getting a little.
Yeah, Corey,
we're getting out over our skis. I
might recommend some light reading to you. It's called "What Horror Franchises Can Learn from the Evil Dead Timeline." There's a nice little article published online.
Was gonna bring that up. It's my article. I wrote it.
I'll read it.
But yeah, we'll put that on our account. But like, I am kind of like, to summarize my argument was, it is like, it gives you more freedom to kind of like you're not beholden explicitly to the way things exactly played out, but there is enough of a through line there where you can follow the story generally through these 3 movies, even without all of the details completely lining up. Like, it's almost like kind of like the way, like, if you were telling a story to people, it's like a game of telephone almost. Like this person, this is what happened, that got told to this person. Okay, then they tell it to the next person. And so the details get a little hazy. The general through line of the story is the same. And they kind of make jokes about that in Ash vs. Evil Dead. Like, there's a part where Ash is talking about where he found the book in the show. And he's like, oh, I found it. We found the tape recording in the cellar or something. Or did I find it in the study? Wait a minute, because it's different. He finds it in the cellar in the first one. He finds it in the study in the second one. So he's like, he can't remember where he found it in the show because it happened both ways.
Okay, so it's kind of.
I think it's like the medicine that people who grew up on Marvel need at this point.
But here's my question. So at this point in like movies, franchises, everything, I think we've had some examples where they go back and they kind of retcon. The most recent example, James Gunn did it with the end of Peacemaker 1, and he changed it so it was different people at the end of
That's a
beginning
good
of Peacemaker 2. But like it was a very small change, and it was just more of an aesthetic thing and just saying like, yeah, that's who it is now, whatever. It's small retcons where you go back and you're just like, this is the story, and even though that's not how the story really went at the very end. And I think small things like that, it's fine. But then I think of also, if we're going to, I also thought of Star Wars and Rise of Skywalker and how that kind of retconned a lot of stuff from the previous movies. And that did it a little bit differently, where it did it throughout the entirety of the movie. Like kind of, it spaced it out saying like, no, that thing we said isn't true. You know, and it kind of went along that path instead of saying like, here's the story, summing it up, and now that's where we're taking off from. Do you think it would, because in this one we have that, in Peacemaker we have that, and both of those are kind of, it seems well received. I haven't really talked to anyone else about Evil Dead, so I'm only taking from you guys, and you guys seem to pretty well received. Cole, did you have
everyone
an opinion?
loves it. Everyone loves it.
I was gonna ask Cole, do you have an opinion on how like they kind of retconned it a little bit? Like, I mean, do you think it's fine? Like, does it bother you at all?
No, because I think it's playing along the lines of like there is kind of a loose continuity, but the continuity is still there, and it's kind of funny to see that Raimi was just like, I'm going to remake my first movie 15 minutes and then make a completely different movie.
Yeah.
For the next hour 15.
Yeah, so it sounds like overall it's pretty well received. But if that were to happen today, is it more of like we're looking back with rose-colored glasses at these movies and saying like, oh, it's fine, we're going to forgive it because overall it's a harmless movie or whatever? I don't really know exactly what the reasoning is. But if they were to do that today, like let's say for like a Mission Impossible movie and Final Reckoning came out and they said, here's what happened in Dead Reckoning, and it was completely different than the movie that we watched, I would be pretty upset, and I'd be like, I would almost be turned off from the rest of the movie. An example like that.
Here's what happened.
This is
to a degree. I mean, did I cut you off?
No. That's my question. Like, do you think?
Well,
like,
I was going to say to a degree that is happening though a lot, and it seems like it's well received. I mean, think of the Halloween franchise. Like, we're shaving off sequels that have happened. Like 4, 5, and 6 don't exist in the continuity of like the ones that came out over the last 4 or 5 years. I feel like that's happening in other film.
I have a response to that.
I mean,
can I push back really quick? I wanted to push back just a tiny bit. Then Cole, you can go. Well, I was gonna say like Halloween 2018. That's supposed to take place directly following the events of Halloween, like Halloween 78.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Always the 7 in there.
Okay, well that actually did come out in 78. Yeah, that one. But it's supposed to directly follow. So it's like I see what you're saying, but it's not saying like it's not taking that movie and saying it happened just a little bit different. You know, it's just like, okay, let's just erase these movies. But it's still saying like we're taking place directly after this.
Well,
Sorry.
I think that's how I view this movie though. I honestly don't view this as a sequel. It's a name. I think this is its own continuity, its own story. There are similarities.
Well, it's just a name. It's just a name.
What's in a name? All right. So on the so I mentioned
watching this.
I mentioned the Halloween, or Sam mentioned Halloween timeline thing there, and I mentioned that in my article that I was talking about the timeline, and I actually think it's frustrating with Halloween. Because they've done this multiple times where they have to go out of their way to say, okay, these movies didn't happen, this is a sequel to this movie, but not these movies that came out after that one. It's done that multiple times now.
Mm-hmm.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre does similar things, but no one cares as much because those are like all bad, pretty much, besides the first one. But I think, and I agree with you, Corey, that if Mission Impossible 8 did that now, 8 movies in, I'd be pissed. This is one movie in. This is literally like,
yeah,
this is literally like, it is still setting its own rules because there's only been one movie to go off of. So it sets the rule right now in Evil Dead 2 that you do not have to be that scrupulous about these details. You don't have to be that looking at the details that much. The general gist of the story stays the same, but this is the second movie. It is letting you know right away, like, do not, especially with the tone being so different, you know, because it's not just the story. It's like the tone is completely different from the first movie, like we've been saying. So it really, like Sam's saying, this really is its own thing. And maybe you can look at it as its own thing completely, in that it really is not canon to the first one at all. And that the first one ends and Ash Williams is dead. That maybe that's maybe what it is for the reboot movie. Because that's, like I said, that's what the Delta still being there would imply, that Ash never got out from that cabin. So in a way like that, there are ways you can look at that where this is its own separate thing, and it goes into Army of Darkness and then Ash vs. Evil Dead. But Ash vs. Evil Dead, again, I'm not going to get out too much over my skis here, but it is the Ash from Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, probably even more so Army of Darkness. But yet there is an entire subplot in the second season where he goes back to his hometown, and he never got convicted because they couldn't prove anything, but people think he murdered his friends at the cabin.
Makes sense.
There is a whole bit with his dad about his dad thinking he killed his sister. So it acknowledges his sister, who's in the first movie, but not
in the second one.
Not in the second one. Now, can I give you my own little reasoning for that? If even beyond just how the series is designed, don't look at canon so closely. If you want to headcanon it, and this is one way I could do it, and it makes sense with the end of Army of Darkness. And I'm sorry for bringing up Army of Darkness again when this is supposed to be an Evil Dead 2 episode, but I'm not spoiling anything with Army of Darkness here. It does seem, it is kind of like Ash is telling a story by the end of Army of Darkness. And this, the tone is funny in these movies, but on the page, this would be really traumatic events for someone to deal with.
Yeah.
Girlfriend dead, sisters dead, friend dead, whatever. Whichever event you want to look at. Maybe if this is like an unreliable narrator and he is telling the story, this is how Ash views it. And that's maybe why he's more of a hero in some of these later ones, even though he's still kind of a fuck up. Like, it's almost like he's looking back, and this is how he tells the story. And if he leaves out the part of his sister getting assaulted in the woods and then killed, it's because he can't even bring himself maybe to detail that part. Like, if you really, I know I'm stretching it there, but that's one way you could look at it.
No, and I think that's fine. I don't like movies that say don't think about it too much and then it's okay, And so I think if we can find some, I think that's fine. But cool, I know we cut you off a little bit earlier. It's less of don't think about it and more of take it this. It's more like it's less don't think about it and more take this movie on its own terms. Relax, buddy. That's what it's saying. Calm
Pretty
down.
Much, sure.
Just calm down. Cole, I cut you off a little bit earlier. I'm sorry, but did you
no
have some? Okay. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit about Bruce Campbell. I kind of teased that in the very beginning.
As we said, or as I said in the first one, I was going to ask Corey at the beginning of each movie, Corey, what do you think of Ash in this movie?
So it kind of builds off the retconning at the very beginning and like the new way they tell the story that goes into this, because the new way that they tell that story in that 15-minute blurb is Ash is much more capable. He's driving with one hand, his girlfriend's all over him. He gets there, he's so calm. He's like, no, baby, it's a newly renovated house, I promise. And I'm like, okay, so we're kind of skipping over some character development here a little bit, because even towards the end of Evil Dead, he was still like really skittish. And so it's like, okay, we're just kind of, we're gonna pull him up to where we need him to be to make him a little bit more fun to watch, which is fine because like I said in the first Evil Dead, I don't know if I'd build a franchise around that character being what he was in the first one, but I think in this one he starts like growing into that role, so I think that's fine. That being said, I'm much more sold on him in this one.
Yay!
And I think this is again not. Okay, I'll talk about this. Just this one. I think based off this, I would want him as a leading man in the next one and like for all future. This definitely helped him a lot. So I think I'm more on his side in this one. But I will say that the look that he has at the end with the chainsaw in the hand, I'm like, what? Well, why? Where is it? Like, not that it wasn't cool. I was just like, what? Like, where's this coming from? It wasn't even like talked about it all throughout. And then at the end, they're like, let's tie a chainsaw to that boy, And it's like,
you have to imagine how strong he has to be to hold that old chainsaw, like with one
by his forearm. Yeah.
I love that there's an outline of the chainsaw on the wall in the shed when he's going to grab the chain. He pulls the curtain and there's no chainsaw there, but there's an outline of where the chainsaw should go.
That way he's
like, oh, chainsaw, where'd it go?
They do that in the first episode of Ash versus Evil Dead, and it's used to great comedic effect.
But I wonder what this movie would have been or what his character would have been if they would have been forced. See, I like when you stick with what you had because it makes trying to get to like, if you have like a certain place you want your characters to go, if you have like this big action hero place that you want Ash to go, it makes it for a very interesting way of telling the story and like getting him there, you know, instead of just like, let's just jump him up. Like, let's just put him where he is. That way it makes it a little bit easier for us. It makes it very easy on the writers to not have to go through the struggles of Ash becoming a more capable character.
Well, I mean, I'd compare it sort of to what happens to Thor between Thor the Dark World. What?
I don't know. You got so much louder out of nowhere.
Sorry.
I don't know how that happened, but
Well, you didn't like move at all. It was weird.
Yeah.
That happened to you a bit like 2 minutes ago, Corey. So I don't know. That's been going around.
The loud voices are going around.
I'll turn it down.
But I would say this is kind of comparable to what happens to Thor between Thor the Dark World and Ragnarok. There's this sort of big character shift, but was it always there? Because is the retcon like truly there? Because in Endgame they go back into the past and Thor's still super goofy. So are we to believe he was that funny the whole time? Like and Ash very much clearly is a hero of the first movie, but he's not an action hero. The way he looks in this and the way he acts in this, he levels up to kind of an action hero. So it's kind of fun to see that choice and to be like, you know what, fuck it, throw it out the window, new character. But was he always this character? We're just seeing the story through a different lens right now.
I really do think it's a bit of just a rebrand of the character, because if you wanted to really slow down and take the time to get him, like, develop him from where he is in the first movie to be what they need him to be for this movie, it just, I don't know how you do that when it's all supposed to take place in a day, and also just the stuff that they want to do in this movie, like tonally, the energy-wise, the jokes of it. I don't know if I don't think it works without Ash being this version of Ash, which also just like I was saying goes into why they had to refilm. They had to like redo the opening because it would just be such a jarring change if we just cut straight from that original Ash to this version. And you know,
I think you could have gotten there. I think you could have gotten there.
He's breaking plates over his head and throwing himself around the kitchen.
I wrote down that I'm not sure what they were trying to accomplish with the dead body dancing, and I think it's in that compilation right there, but it was super effective. Whatever they were trying to accomplish, like I don't know. I felt something. I was like, wow, this is
mission
either scary,
accomplished.
You gotta ask those Kandarian demons.
Something. It's a fine looking demon, fine looking corpse.
Demons are little pranksters, and they studied ballet.
It is that. I think that is in terms of that's probably as close as it gets to the first one for me in terms of it being funny and scary at the like simultaneously. Because I think this is obviously just a funny movie in general. There's a lot of things that are funny that I don't think are scary in this movie. Obviously, they're just funny. Whereas I do agree, Corey, that there is something about the eeriness of his dead girlfriend's corpse doing ballet that it is kind of off. It is off-putting.
It's off-putting, but
and
it's
I
also
do think
funny
it's
to
funny.
watch. And
I think when
you're
she
entertained,
when she
time.
jumps away at the end, and she has like a little like sound. Like I'm gonna cut that sound in here right there, but that kills me. But like her little sounds during that entire dance are so funny to me.
What do you think of him going directly to the shovel? By the way, first sign of possession, just off
when
with her head.
Yeah, it was like I saw the tweet that was like, "How did Ash know she was possessed?" And like she just jumped at him, and then she could have been doing a prank on him, and he just cuts off her head with a shovel. That since you bring that up, Sam, I'll just say briefly that might be one of my favorite transitions of all time. Is that the head rolling after he cuts it off midair? The head rolling toward the camera, hits the camera, goes black, and then it's just the shovel of him digging. Like, I think that's a really smooth, funny, moves the story forward very quickly transition there. That's very creative. It's the type of creative energy that Sam Raimi has in this movie, just with the storyboarding. That, I don't know, it's just present throughout the whole thing. There's much more of he storyboarded the hell out of this vibe in this movie, as opposed to the first one where it's like, oh, they are fighting to get this movie finished. And I still think it works really well, but like, I don't think they had a lot of time to be like, oh, we're going to map out the way this looks frame by frame by frame by frame. I think they had to kind of cut corners a bit and kind of make do after, just with the conditions being what they were. But this movie just kind of has a flow to it visually, is what I'm trying to say here.
Well, a word that I've heard you probably use a lot when you're describing certain movies that I think the entire series really does, especially the second and third one. They are efficient.
Very efficient.
In getting going. Very efficient in getting going.
I mean, he cuts off his girlfriend's dead within 10 minutes, maybe less. I think less. So that, yeah, it really does not. This is a movie that's just it's such an easy background watch in a sense, because like I've seen this movie so many times because it's such an easy one to put on because like you said, it gets going. And I do think it's one of those movies that you can like put on mute and still be entertained by. I like, because there's always something going on, and the camera is always moving. It's always doing something interesting, whether it's even when it's a demon's not on screen, just how expressive, like we use the word expressive a lot with like Christopher Lloyd and like Back to the Future. I think Bruce Campbell here is like another example of like extremely expressive the entire time.
Could Bruce Campbell play Doc?
It'd be different. I think
that's
it could,
not
but it'd be different. It's not
a no.
When we get to Army of Darkness, I do want to query: could you see anyone else doing this?
Yes. Anyway,
I have an answer for it, but I do have a guy. I do have one person that could, but
okay.
I'd be curious if you guys do. I was not going to say nobody could. I don't think many could, at least not as effectively. But really, I think.
Well, I mean, there is like a level of physicality and stunt work that he pulls off, and I'm sure a number of actors do not have that commitment or that ability to the degree he does.
The one that killed, that scene where I brought it up, where Bruce Campbell, after his hand gets possessed, his fight against his possessed hand, like the physical comedy there, I do think it's like, I think it has like a Jim Carrey quality there with the humorous moments. And I do think that he also can do like the charismatic, like, quote unquote badass moments more so than like someone like Jim Carrey could. You know what I mean? Like that's,
like I think the liar scene.
Yeah, that is that's what I'm saying. Jim Carrey could do that part really well. Like that type of physical humor. He has like such a master of his own muscles, and like that it's just so fun to watch. I think Bruce Campbell has that here, but he also just has, his name of his book is If Chins Could Kill. He has the look to be like the big, strong, handsome hero too. So it's a perfect mix of that. When he literally grabs the back of his shirt and just flips himself over in the kitchen, like that is really, obviously they're ADRing in a lot of sounds that he's making there, but like to do that and give a performance and just still, it's really funny to me. That's why I think he is the main reason why I think this movie works. Obviously, that's not a hot take, but
did want to talk about the other characters in this movie. There are only 3 other characters if you're not counting the mom in the basement, which I don't know if you do or not. I guess she kind of is a character. So there's 4 other characters, completely new characters from the first one besides Bruce Campbell and Ash. So did they add to the story for you guys, or like were they effective with what they were trying to do? It felt like they were just more kind of characters for collateral damage at that point, just to kind of make
what they are.
It's just
they
like,
all
let's
should have been
for the sake of stakes.
They should have came in wearing red shirts. That's what they should have done.
They change up the story so it's not him for an hour and a half just fighting his hand in invisible demons.
I'd watch that.
But I was gonna say, I don't think I would have hated a story where he's just going crazy.
It is. They do make it work with. I think those are the best moments where it is just him. I think the best stretch of the movie is from him killing his girlfriend up through them arriving at the other group arriving at the cabin. I think that stretch of the movie everything is working 10 out of 10 for me. Like the humor of it, like him cutting off his hand, him putting the hand under a bucket with the books, and then the bucket moving behind him, and all that stuff I think works really well for me to the point. And then, like you said, going crazy at the cabin, Corey, when I think that's like best personified in the moment. Like, cause like I said, like, these demons are, they have a sense of humor. They're like fucking with him and they have fun with that. But like when everything in the cabin becomes like sentient and starts laughing at him.
Yeah.
And he just starts laughing with them. And it almost becomes like just a fraught, like just laugh that he's doing as he's like surrounded by the entire cabin laughing at him, and then he like pauses and does like an up and down thing with the lamp or whatever. Like just all that stuff, I think is the amount they do get a lot of mileage out of this cabin in this movie of ways to use it. Because the only time you're not at this cabin is like the 1 or 2 scenes with those other characters before they get to the cabin. And then the very ending where they're in medieval time.
We're talking about transitions. I think one of the best ones in the movie is when his reflection is choking him out and then it cuts away to him choking himself.
Oh, that's a good part
Does
too.
that sound fine?
See, but you also need those side characters because how else are you going to like solve the problem?
He needs possessed people to fight too. He needs to fight possessed people, not just random
a chair.
things happening. Yeah, you know, like you need the big blonde guy to float up and fly around the room.
Yeah, I like it when they float, but I don't really have.
They
didn't really do anything,
and I think that makes it effective.
Yeah, they didn't really do anything else for me as characters though, which I was kind of disappointed with. And they didn't really stick around like as demons very much to have those moments that we had in the first one. You know, I think we still got the classic one like floating, but the girls in the first one, there were like we spent 20 minutes talking about their physical acting that they did, where it was whether it was I wrote down the names, Linda or Cheryl. Linda, like, or Cheryl in the basement just like going crazy, or Linda just like sitting straight up in the bed and like sitting down on the floor and just like moving her body in just very creepy ways. It's like we didn't get really any of those moments. And even though the characters themselves in the first ones didn't really do anything plot wise besides just be a means to an end to get Ash to fight a demon, like they still, I felt like they still carried their weight in terms of that kind of stuff, but I didn't get that from this cast as much, which was a little bit disappointing. But again, you still had all that stuff with the cabin, like you talked about, Zach, that I think made up for it. What else did I have? Oh, I wrote down a line. I didn't really have many issues with this one, if I'm being honest. I think I labeled them. The retconning was an issue for me that kind of took me out of it, and the actors, of course, or the characters not doing too much. But
I agree with that part. I'll give you that part. That is also my like. I believe the people in the first movie, I'm more sympathetic to them in the first movie, even if they're not like, you know, the most deep characters. I buy them as real friends that all just had the worst night of their life.
Dick.
I love it. Okay, see, that is one thing we did talk about, Sam, that you've not heard that episode yet. I love Scott. I love how much of a dick Scotty is in the first movie, but because he's a very believable dick. But yeah, they are like the characters in this movie are like, yeah, they are fodder pretty much. And then, you know, even Professor Nobi's daughter, she's capable enough, but I honestly, and this seems like this is I feel like such a dick giving this critique, but if there's one thing about this movie that I'm like, oh, man, I think her scream is grating. I hate her scream, and she is screaming a lot in the last half of this movie.
I guess I didn't even notice.
I mean, you can hear, sometimes you hear a scream and like, that's a great scream. Like she has a really good scream. I don't think I mean, she can scream. I don't like it. I don't like hearing it. It feels weird to say that I like hearing other women scream, but I'm gonna just say I do not like
saying
this.
it too.
We'll let you sit in there.
Yeah, I do not like hearing this one scream.
Yeah, that's fair. I wrote down a fun quote that I thought was kind of a dumb line.
Let's hear it.
Can you guys guess what it is? It was a really dumb line. They take a moment to it, and they're like, "Whoa!" And it's like that kind of. Do you know it? I feel like Cole would know it. I feel like Cole would
I'm gonna be mad if it's
out.
what I think it is. It's gonna be mad. I'm gonna be mad if it's what I think it is.
Sorry.
Is it the most famous line in the whole series? Is that
what's the most famous line in the whole series?
Well, he says it again in An Army of Darkness. They repeat it.
No, he doesn't say it in Army of Darkness.
Okay. So it's not the big chainsaw arm reveals close up and then him saying groovy.
No.
Okay.
No.
I was going to say I like.
Good.
That's 10 out of 10. No notes. Yeah.
5 stars, Angel.
No, they were going over the Necronomicon, I think, and saying like, "Oh, we need these pages," and kind of like figuring out how to end the movie. And then you hear like this, like a little piano like riff or something, like a very subtle. And then he goes, "Whoa!" And then she goes, "What? What happened?" And he goes, "I felt like someone just walked over my grave." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" I was like, "That's so stupid." I did not like that line. I had to pause the movie, and I'm like, "What does that even mean?" It felt like someone walked over your grave.
Corey's probably wearing his hat, throws it down, just like, "What are we doing here, guys?"
I was on an airplane when I was watching this, and I almost brought the entire thing down out of the sky because I was so upset.
Do you have like a 2-year-old sitting next to you?
Yeah.
Wouldn't have gone down like that if Zach was on the plane.
See, now I've kind of gotten bored on planes and kind of just watched whatever someone else next to me was watching, even without the sound. And like I was saying, I do think Evil Dead 2 would be an entertaining one to do that to, because there is so much going on visually in these movies, and it's probably not hard to follow. It's not hard to follow what's going on visually as well. This could work as a silent film if it had to, and then you just get like the title card that just says "Groovy" after he says it. You know, that'd be enough. I'd be like,
Zach, you should make a
wow.
silent film.
Well, remember we tried that one time. But
I think you could do better now.
It was really, yes, I absolutely could. That was awful. It was
You
so
should
bad.
call it Hundreds of Beavers.
No.
Oh my God, I am begging you guys to watch Hundreds of Beavers.
I've already
We've
watched
seen it.
Hundreds
Well,
of
I guess you
Beavers.
guys did. Sam hasn't
If
watched
you
it. Sam
remade
has
this
watched it.
silent film, Zach, would you remake it but improve upon parts that you liked, keep things, kind of do it that way?
Oh, we could do the Evil Dead 2 to the Candy Thief. It was called the Candy Thief. It was.
Well, I thought you were talking about the Last of the Communists.
That was also. I don't think that can be improved upon. I think that's a 10 out of 10. No.
Oh, okay.
5 stars, Angel. 5 stars.
That's about as good as it. And we got paid to do it. It's the only time. It's still the only time I've been paid to make a movie, because we just did it on the clock at Norwood on a very slow day at the golf course we worked at. Corey and I made a movie, just the two of us, and we used his brother for like a second, didn't we?
Did we?
I think he had
it was
to
just
ask him-
us.
Was it?
Yeah,
It
I think
might
it was
have
just
been.
us
You're
in
right.
that one.
Yeah, you're right. Your brother wasn't working there, then.
No,
Yeah,
not
I
yet.
should say. Yeah, this movie's definitely, in terms of quotes, there's not as many quotes in this movie. Third one is quote machine. Oh no. Oh, I picked up on a read there. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's so many little. I don't have any like big topics for this movie left. I mean, there's just a bunch of like little details that I love.
There's some things I want to talk about, but I think they make more sense to talk about them in the context of Army of Darkness too.
Sure. I mean, okay.
One thing that I would add, just as an appreciation aspect of the second one, I feel more than the other two, is the sound mixing and audio is incredibly disturbing. So many scenes. Like, even when the camera is just like flying through the woods and you just have those voices building up, it's like,
That's good.
I wouldn't call it like
that.
a gurgling, but it's just daunting and really
That's true.
effective.
There's a great shot that has a great musical sting. I think it's like after that initial part where Ash gets thrown through the woods and he lands in the puddle. And he's possessed for a moment, but when he gets unpossessed, there's a great close up of like the smoke disappearing from his eye and whatever prop they made for that close up. I love that. But like, I think there's like a part there after it becomes normal again with the daylight that the camera like zooms up really suddenly from him in the puddle, like to be really high up above him. And there's like just a really good musical sting there. I don't know how to describe it, but maybe I'll put that as well.
Gosh,
The first one, I know it also happens in the second one, but the other thing about the smoke over the moon, those shots are,
they do that a lot in the first one.
I like that.
They
I don't even have
do.
much to say. I love that they do that.
There's a really good rear screen projection shot in this one where the sun starts after he becomes unpossessed during that short day, because I guess he was passed out for pretty much the entire day, because by the time he wakes up, the sun is already starting to go down after he tries to get to the bridge, which I love that wide shot of him screaming at the bridge being out. That's really fun.
Yeah.
But like the sun, it's clearly like him standing in front of like a projector screen, and the sun going down so fast behind him. And it's just kind of like creates the urgency of him having to get back to the cabin. But it does not look real at all. It's not trying to look real, but it's just part of the style of this movie that I really appreciate. Just the very creative ways that Sam Raimi and all of them just, I don't know. This movie, I don't remember if I said this in the last movie, but this movie definitely has personality for sure. Kind of like what I was saying with the Raimi Spider-Man movies, definitely have personality. It definitely kind of comes from a lot of it's. He already kind of had that in these movies too. There's a lot of carryover there. I guess I could just ask in general, like, this is definitely a horror comedy movie. Do you guys have other favorite horror comedies? Since this is kind of like maybe the most famous one. I don't know if there are. Yeah, Scream could work. This feels
and
Tucker
and Dale.
Yeah, that's more in line with this type. I would never call Scream just a comedy, whereas I'd say this is more of a comedy than a horror. Scream is more horror than comedy, but it has both.
And Tucker and Dale is just a
Zombieland?
straight up comedy.
Zombieland and Shaun of the Dead I think Shaun of the Dead's probably my
Ghostbusters?
favorite. Man, we're really getting to like family-friendly territory there. But yeah, that'll do. Yeah,
Ghostbusters is pretty scary.
That. Yeah, that librarian, man. When she,
Dude, that honestly, Shaun of the Dead probably is the best answer though.
Yeah, I would definitely Shaun of the Dead. I don't know. Cabin in the Woods is up there for me.
I love Cabin in the Woods.
I did just.
Corey,
watch
you gotta
that
rewatch
the
Cabin in the
other
Woods. You
day.
gotta say, Corey, you're gonna really enjoy Cabin in the Woods after watching these movies.
I'm seeing Mars Attack.
When Mars
More
attacked.
sci-fi-ish, but
I haven't seen it, but is that worthwhile?
I really don't know if you'd like it. If I'm being totally honest,
It is
with you.
very
I'm
like
gonna watch it.
90s B movie, but with a big budget.
19.
Yeah, it is a really good cast though. Really
It's Tim
big
Burton,
cast.
right?
Tim Burton movie. Jack Nicholson, Natalie Portman, Jack Black's in it for a little bit.
That's a good
Bodies,
horror
Bodies,
comedy.
Bodies is not in the conversation for best horror comedies, but it is funny. I
It's
do
a
like
fun
that
horror
movie.
comedy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Barbarian's kind of a nah.
No.
I don't know. That's
Get
definitely
outta
more horror
here.
than comedy. It is really funny. It is really funny movie.
What were y'all laughing at?
Can a basement count for more square footage?
Him going through the entire basement, measuring it, the deeper he goes, is one of the funniest gags in any horror film, for sure.
Is the end a horror?
Get out of town.
That's straight.
I
You're
mean, there's
really
a few
stretching it for calling
horrific
that horror.
moments.
Besides the one Rosemary's Baby homage.
Something
Scene, pretty much-
not that chill happened last night.
Something not that chill.
On that
This is not
note,
a dream.
let's get into
This is really
the awards
happening.
season.
Apparently they strayed off course, and we're fairly certain they're in guerrilla hands.
So why don't you use the regular army? What do you need us for?
Because some damn fool accused you of being the best.
Yeah.
Sam, as our guest, would you like to go first and pick your MVP for Evil Dead 2?
Can I go first for the next one?
No.
No.
You
Well,
can
then
either...
I'm going to have to use it now because I know someone will pull it. What, Zach?
Can I go first then if Sam doesn't want it?
No.
You can go first.
Well, I
next
want to
time.
go first because the person I want to use for this one, I would rather use for Army of Darkness, but I know if I don't go first, then someone will definitely use it. It's Bruce Campbell.
In this one.
Basic.
Yeah. I mean,
There's
basically,
only so many people. There's only so
he's
many
the
people.
movie. I mean, Sam Raimi is incredible, but this doesn't work without a charismatic lead who just gives his all and then 10% more. Physicality, the charisma, it's all up there.
Nice. Cole, would you
Corey?
like to go?
Yeah, I'll go. I am going to pick the makeup supervisor and director, Mark Shostrom.
You like to look at that, the big blonde Deadite when he gets
I
possessed?
love the look of the Deadites. There's something Beetlejuice-esque about like the way they look.
That's
Almost.
good comp.
Yes. That's a good horror comedy.
Yeah.
I was on there. I
But-
don't want to say that one though.
Something about the way the Deadites were improved in this one just makes the movie that much more fun to watch. I just love the look of the Deadites because, you're not working off a $300,000 budget here. You're working off $2 million, and it really shows in the makeup work, and the makeup is phenomenal.
Henrietta. Yeah. Ted Raimi as Henrietta is pretty.
That's
Pretty
Ted
good.
Raimi.
Yeah, that's Ted Raimi.
That's great.
Mom in the basement.
Ivan-
Honestly,
Is Ivan the knight at the end?
We'll get to that.
Sam Raimi's the knight at the end who goes like, "Hail to he who has fallen from the sky."
Oh, okay.
That was Sam Raimi. I missed that.
That's Sam Raimi. I know, isn't he just a pretty young thing there? So cute.
Good pick.
Keep it in your pants.
I do think, just on that really, really briefly, that is honestly one of the funniest cuts in the movie is them listening to the tape recorder where she has to hear her dad pretty much say like, "Oh, my wife became possessed and I had to kill her and I
Buried
bring
her in the basement.
I couldn't bring it to myself to dismember her corpse, so I buried her in the fruit cellar." Then, like, just
They'll
Bruce
slowly
listening to
look at
that from the basement, the stairs. That is, and then when she comes up, he gives like the highest pitched scream that I think he possibly could. That is really, really funny to me. Corey, you can go ahead at this point. I'll just go last.
Actually, I was wanting to go last because I thought.
Oh, feel free
no,
then.
wait. Let me finish. Because I
That's
had
fair.
the makeup. I also had the makeup director, and I was like, no one's gonna take this. But that was honestly Cole. That was a great pick. I'm gonna pick Sam Raimi as my because I only had 3. I forgot Sam was going to be on until earlier today, and so I had already established.
Those are my 3. It was the makeup, Sam Raimi, and Bruce. I don't have the 4th.
No. I'm gonna pick Sam Raimi because I still think, like Zach, you mentioned it, the personality in this movies really comes through, and Bruce Campbell does do a lot to help that, but I think a lot of how it's shot, the way we see these characters, does a lot for the storytelling, and I think that goes straight to what Sam Raimi does for this. So Sam Raimi is my MVP for Evil Dead 2. Zach, why don't you go ahead?
Right, sound mixer. Do the sound mixer.
This is kind of cheating, but I'm going Scott Spiegel and Sam Raimi for the script. The duo wrote Evil Dead 2, and I think I was watching some documentary about the making of this movie, and Bruce Campbell, I think, was saying that, when they knew they were going to make this movie, before the script was entirely finished, he could hear, whether it was Bruce Campbell who said it or like the producer, Robert Tappert, he could hear that Scott Spiegel and Sam Raimi writing the movie together and just giggling in the other room. And there's like, why are they laughing so much? Like, knowing they're making a sequel to Evil Dead. Like, what could be this funny about whatever they're writing? And it's good. Oh, that was like when they wrote that the severed hand, it flicks off Ash and then crawls into a mouse hole, but it gets into a mouse trap or whatever. Like, it's like stuff like that. It's like, yeah, I can imagine that was probably pretty fun to write. And you're also, at the end of the day, when you know that they're such good friends, it does kind of make it even funnier that they're just writing all these ways for them to just fuck up their friend Bruce Campbell. I mean, they have him like I said, the plates thing, getting blood all over him. They have him throw himself down the stairs in the cellar, just all that stuff. So yeah, I think they get a lot of mileage out of this really simple setting, and they find a lot of creative ways to just keep entertaining me, whether it be visually or just. And then at the end of the day, they wrote the Groovy line. Really, that's just that's not an obvious. Not a very not a long monologue or anything like that, but that line put right there works so well, and it kind of became synonymous with the franchise. So yeah, the writing team, Scott Spiegel, Sam Raimi.
Good pick. On to the reviews section.
Says that they insist on outside opinions.
What kind of opinions?
Well, your kind, not to put too fine a point on it. I mean, let's face it, in your particular field, you're the top minds.
Cole, what did you think of this movie?
There are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and if you hang out with Ash Williams, bad shit is gonna happen. 4.5 out of 5.
Whoa. Sam, would you like to go next? Our guest, Sam?
Yeah.
Sam Hohenstein, our guest.
All right. The Evil Dead walked so Evil Dead 2 could run. Run right into an absolute madhouse of Sam Raimi's signature blend of over-the-top horror and comedy, led by a, dare I say it, incredibly charismatic, all-out committed performance from Bruce Campbell. The man gave his everything, hand included, to cement himself as a horror icon. 4.5 out of 5.
Whoa.
Play the Salmon Cola Grease Sounder.
Okay, this is from, I'm going to go, Zach. This is from the perspective of the writer-director Sam Raimi. Okay? I'm smoking a blunt. That's what he's doing right now. What happened in the last movie? That's not how I remember it. Anyway, why are you worried about the last movie? Just be in the moment, man. 3.5 out of 5.
That's fair. Okay. I'm going to try something similar to what I did with Spider-Man 3, okay?
Here we go. What's he planning to play?
Okay. Let's see if this works. I am 4.5 out of 5. I don't know how well that came through, but
not extremely well.
Could you tell that he was just saying "Who's laughing now"?
Yes.
That's when he caught it. And he stabs his hand, and then he's about to start chainsawing it off.
Are you going to let that play through in the upload, or are you going to just actually put it?
I might just actually have to put that scene there for that to be effective. So I'll probably have to cut that audio and put that in.
Zach gets all this production for his reviews, he gets to put in a video, or he'll put in like a sounder, and it's just...
Of course I do. I'm the leader of the Beatles. I can do what I want. Well, I guess that's it for this one.
I was going to say, that's it. We're going to go straight into the next one.